Thanks, mate.
There's Bundaberg, Hamish Derrick, feature race winner, make some noise!
Right, so the Nostalgia time for their feature. On the inside, Frank Pack, on the outside is Booth. Oliver, Zilke, Rowe, and then Camp, they're getting the green this time around. Pretty even start. Packers on the inside, Booth's on the outside. Booth's just going to roll out, I think, a little bit. Packer gets the drive out inside. Rossi Oliver's there as well. It's an Oliver. What two? You're going to leave the door open as they go down to the 3 and 4.
How about Dennis Booth that time? Ended into turn number 3 pretty high. I was just about to make a comment on these things as well, Brad. You might have a better idea of these. I know these guys do a lot of work with suspension. It's not the traditional suspension they would have had back in the day. A lot of work goes underneath the hood of these cars. But big steel body cars, I'm going to have a suggestion and say they're not going to handle the bumps quite as well as some of the other cars here tonight.
No, certainly not. They've got all like torsion bars and all these little nicks and tricks like all the Proddies and the modifieds. They've got exactly like you said. And a lot of thought goes into it because you just can't pull the old stuff out from the 50s and 60s and expect it just to throw something off the shelf.
And a lot of these cars too running methanol. A couple of guys with superchargers and all sorts of things. Look at Des Rowe here.
Des Rowe's going to have a run. He's got the run too.
A 2 for 1. The Maribor 97. Look to the inside of Booth. You run a little bit high. I tell you what, Rowe is very quick here. He might closing in on your race leader.
Yeah, exactly right. I think he's just been playing the sneaky card all night. He's just been hanging around that 3rd spot, but he got some drive out of turn 4 then because Packer's out in front and not really walking away with it at the moment.
Yeah, I reckon by the eye test, Brad, I reckon the old FJ is closing in on Packer. This is going to get interesting.
Yeah, it certainly is. Packer's just rolling around the top thinking I might have this, but I don't think it's going to be all his way when he sees this big white FJ pull up beside him.
And I tell you what, he's the first car tonight to really run the bottom, like and really run it. Like with a track like this, you know you've got to commit to one line. If you're trying to put half, run half a lane at the bottom or half a lane at the top, you're going to get stuck through that rough stuff. And Rowe drifts up a little bit high that time, but still running the bottom, and he's right on the back of Packer.
Yeah, exactly right. He's moved up. Each lap he is just taking a little bit off. Packer's just trying to run that top there, but Rowe is just tucked in nice and tight on that bottom. And then you look back to 3 and 4, they've been side by side for the last 3 laps too.
Yeah, Oliver and Booth going hard. The Tyrannus drops to the bottom of the track now and decides, you know what, I'm sick of these bumps. But he's got to do something if he wants to get around Oliver. Oliver's another one. He's seen what Des Rowe's done. He's like, you know what, I'm going to copy that as well. Gets to the bottom. And he's forcing Booth around the outside. And he's got a good run this time. Down some nice racetrack. And Booth now takes 3rd. I tell you what, I don't want to say he was coasting, but I think Frank Packer's put the foot down now and begun to drive away from Rowe.
Yeah, Frank might have just had that little look over his shoulder, and it's very hard to do with all these containment seats these days, but he might have a spotter like NASCAR.
If only, if only. I tell you what, it's been talked about before. Unfortunately in Speedway, no communication devices from the team to the driver. The only communication device is the one-way system, which is a radio given to the chief steward up in the tower and a lap score as well, actually. And that is a one-way communication from them straight to the driver.
And you can just see the difference, like Boofy come out earlier, dominated the first 2 heats. Then Packer had a win, then Rowe's coming on now. Zilke won the last heat. It's very hard. To pick a winner out of these old nostalgias, and in the end, it's who's got that best setup in the end, and you can pretty much do what you wish for setup in these as well.
And it comes back to, we spoke about it a little bit earlier, on the fact of how different each car is in this field. You look at them, you've got like 3 or 4 different manufacturers, 5 different modelled cars, and they look completely different, but they also drive, they also handle, and have completely different characteristics when it comes to racing. And I think that's a credit to your point there, Brad, where different styles of tracks are going to suit different cars.
Exactly right.
And right now, Des Rowe's gone back to the top. he was catching back up to Packer. And the hardest thing with these Nostalgia Sedans, if you look at the lap times, consistency is key in any motorsport, but it's so tricky in these cars.
You can hear Rowe, he's really having a go too. It's right on that rev limiter right at the end of the straight. He's trying to have a crack to wind him back in again. He knows the laps are going down. The little Trana of Boofies too, you can hear it riding the bumps. As he goes through the Tattlesville turn once again, so the white flag's going to come out for Frank Packer this time around.
One more lap to go. The Bundaberg 81 leading to the Maryborough 97. Packer still running the top row. A little bit crossed up on entrance, but the top is where it's at. It's smooth and it's fast. And it's going to be enough. As he comes through turn 4, checkered flag at the ready. And Frank Packer takes out the Nostalgia Sedan feature race here at Carina.
Well, as Frank Packer will roll around and grab the checkered flag. That includes our Nostalgia racing for the night. Another great showing. All cars finished tonight too, which was great to see.
Tell you what, folks, get a chance, come down to the pits after the race meeting and check out some of these race cars, these Nostalgias. They got the old school look about them, but there's something pretty flash underneath the bonnet as well. And as he comes around for his victory lap, put your hands together and make some noise. Feature race winner, the Bundaberg 81, Frank Packer.